Okay, we're going to start with the second part of Federalist number 4. Before we start, just remember that in this area, the northeast side of the United States, the New England states, there was a lot of fishing around here, or at least a lot of ships from these states used to go out into the Atlantic, which is right here, and go fishing, and that was a big source of revenue for them, a big source of money, and they would trade that. So it was very important to the New England states especially. So when we open this part of Federalist number 4, you're going to immediately see that he's going to make a reference to it. Okay. He says, with France and with Britain, we are rivals in the fisheries and can supply their markets cheaper than they can themselves, notwithstanding any efforts to prevent it by bounties on their own or duties on foreign fish. So again, back to the theme of union, getting united and being stronger, because it says when we're stronger, let's say some of our states that are into fishing for trade and for money, we will have competition with Britain and France. We will be rivals. And he says fisheries, he's talking about where they can catch fish, the part of the ocean where they can catch fish, and can supply their markets cheaper than they can themselves. We can even get the fish to their markets and offer it to their customers much cheaper than they can. So obviously, they're not going to like that, notwithstanding any effort to prevent it by bounties on their own or duties on foreign fish. You know, sometimes if they want to block us from trading, they can put huge duties on the fish that we take to their ports, make it really expensive, or by bounty, and bounties on their own. Here, the bounty doesn't have the meaning we give it right now. It's right. 2 centuries ago, they meant it like a bonus. The bonuses that they would give to their own fishers, to the people that were in fishing back then, to their fishermen. So it was like, we can either give you guys bonus if you go and buy it from our own traders, or we can put a huge amount of duty on the fish that's imported from America. So he says that we have to look at that, and when we're weak, they can block us having trades with their colonies this way. Because remember, I mentioned that the colonies, the former colonies, the 13 colonies, used to do a lot of trade with the Caribbean islands that were mostly under the British and French control, because there were lots of sugar plantations there, and they would consume a lot of the products from the American colonies. But everything was regulated by Britain. But immediately after the war, Britain cut off all the ties with the new states, and would not allow the new states to trade with her other colonies, like in the Caribbean. So that was a source of problem for the new states. So John Jay, Publius in general, says if we stay united, then we won't allow them to sell their products to us if they don't allow us to sell our products to them. So that's the main part of this conversation. Stay strong, unite, and if They cut you off from their markets, you can cut them off from your market, and then this way they'll think about it twice before they do such a thing. Okay, I go to the next paragraph. With them and with most other European nations, we are rivals in navigation and carrying trade. Carrying trade here means transportation on the ships. So he says we have also competition. We are rivals with other European nations in navigation and carrying trade. We talked about it before, especially Britain, France, Spain, and Netherlands. They were into fishing. They had been into trading at sea for almost 2 centuries. So they were rivals. So he's reminding the readers that we've got major rivals. And we shall deceive ourselves if we suppose that any of them will rejoice to see it flourish. For as our carrying trade cannot increase without some degree diminishing theirs, it is more their interest and will be more their policy to restrain than to promote it. So naturally, if they are the competition, the more markets we get into, the fewer they will have. So because we will be rivals like this, that's the last thing they want. They don't want us to get stronger. They don't want us to have a big navy. They don't want us to have lots of commercial ships. If we stay disunited, they can take advantage of that and keep us weak. So keep that in mind. If we get united, we will be strong, and we will be able to block them from our markets if they decide to block us from theirs. And in the trade to China and India, we interfere with more than one nation, inasmuch as it enables us to partake in advantages which they had in a manner monopolized, and as we thereby supply ourselves with commodities which we use to purchase from them. Another thing is, Publius is reminding the readers that so far these other countries have monopolized trade with China and India. They are the only ones that can get into those markets. He says now, if we start getting into their markets, then that would be another source of friction, another source of competition. So we need to be united to be able to stand up to them. Also, when we go to China and India, we'll be buying things from them that we used to buy from these other rival nations. So that's another source of problem. They don't like that. They won't like that. So again, stay united. This way you can stay strong in front of them if they decide to hurt you financially or in any other way. Okay, we're going to take a break from the Federalist for just a few seconds. Just look at the world right now. Look at the amount of money that's being spent by China and India and the neighboring countries on armament and getting ready for war with each other or with one another. And all this money is going to waste because we are not united. Because we see somebody across the border as an enemy. These imaginary lines that we've drawn, and we've started worshiping these nation states that are creations of people a few generations ago, maybe a couple of centuries ago. And all we're doing is wasting a lot of our talent and energy in armament and preparing for warfare instead of letting humanity flourish. And that's why I keep on talking about the sooner we unite, the less money we'll waste on armament, useless stuff, and the faster, the quicker we can respond to the challenges of environment, a lot of it made by us, by over-consuming and overusing, and also preparing a better future for the future generations. So we'll come back in the next video and continue with Federalist number 4.